So, Craig Larson's The Power of Sequence, his thesis is about keeping that a person's presentation, um, the content is how the content is laid out is critical to maintaining and keeping your audience's attention. He uses two examples to show this. The first being using parallel logic, whereby the points are listed in parallel, and there is a keyword that bridges these points, and the keyword is repeated. He shows this in the passage of Luke 12:22-34, where he lists 5 reasons why we ought not to worry. Then he says, when we list points like that, the advantage is, yes, it gives for clarity. But not all passages fit into this type of allows for this flow. Because right in this passage, he shows that, yes, 5 points, but when we come to the last 2 verses, 32-34, what we're seeing, all the other points are like commands why we ought not to worry, but the last one doesn't really fit in so well. It's more like a reason. So he's saying sometimes, preachers can, because it doesn't fit in, they will tend to leave it out. He's also saying when we do parallel logic, it doesn't build attention, so it's predictable. So you would tend to lose the interest of your audience. So he gives another method, which is sequencing. And the sequencing uses an inductive type order, where there is a problem, you expand on it, and then you solve the problem. What it actually does is that as you go through various parts of the sequences, it builds tension and it keeps the interest of the audience. And he uses the same passage to show sequencing. And it doesn't leave out the last passage, because he starts by introducing a problem. The problem there is that you're tempted to worry. He expands on this problem as he goes through his points to show how worrying prevents us from experiencing what God intends life to be. And then he culminates in the final verses that we find real life in seeking and experiencing God's kingdom. So problem, expand, problem solved. You keep attention. What he's saying with this one, as we go and we flow along, we have to be mindful that you stick to the main idea. But how do we maintain this tension? And he tells us how we actually maintain the tension is that as you have your main point, but as you make other points, as you expand, moving in between points, as you make a point, you need to sort of conclude that point, and the point must be connected to the next point. So you use connecting words. Connecting words might be and, but, therefore. So the points flow into each other. It's important to do this because you can actually blur, and you want to make a distinction between your points. For me, I use this method when I'm doing narratives, maybe some parables, psalms, because it's like a story, and stories don't do well with points. You have to build tension. It flows. A story flows and it climaxes. So this method helps me when I'm preaching those type of texts. For preachers, it's going to be quite helpful when you're doing series. So you use this format, and as you build the tension, your audience will want to come back the next week to hear what you have to say, because you actually, it's not a point form and finish, you're actually flowing into something else, so you open room to spark their curiosity.